that. The main thing for the Lakers is we just can't depend on those two guys anymore. We need a third scorer. We need somebody who can get us 15 to 18 points every single game. And that's
this team, their championship window, they did something Magic and the Lakers never did. They won the championship. They were
The pressure surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers didn't come from a loss, a trade, or even a headline-grabbing performance. Listen to this. It came from something far more uncomfortable, with two very different voices in basketball media finally echoing the same hard truth out loud. When Stephen A. Smith and Magic Johnson are on the same page about the Lakers, it usually signals things have moved beyond opinions into reality. And this time, the message both men are pointing to is sharp, direct, and not easy for Lakers fans to swallow. This team simply isn't where anyone expected it to be. The conversation didn't even start with praise. It opened with frustration. Stephen A. Smith, known for his explosive Lakers commentary, pointed toward what he believes are deeper organizational problems. Magic Johnson, who usually chooses his words carefully unless something truly bothers him, echoed similar concerns in his own way. Different personalities, different journeys, same conclusion. The Lakers are falling short of expectations, and patience is wearing thinner by the day. Right in the middle of all this is the constant pressure attached to the Lakers' identity and global brand. This isn't a franchise that needs years to figure things out. This is a team built to win immediately, loaded with championship expectations, superstar talent, and non-stop media attention. Expectations in Los Angeles are always sky high.
Here's the reality. Lakers gonna have to make a change. Now, whether it's a trade or whatever, or
When the Lakers start struggling, nobody treats it like just another rough patch. Listen to this. It instantly snowballs into a massive storyline, and that's exactly why Stephen A. and Magic being on the same page hits so hard. Both of them know exactly how the Los Angeles machine operates. Excuses don't survive long in that environment, and pressure arrives almost immediately. A big chunk of the frustration really comes down to one thing: consistency, or the absence of it. One night, the Lakers look explosive, swinging the ball with rhythm, defending with intensity, and staying locked in during clutch moments. Then, the very next game, everything falls apart and feels completely out of sync. The offense slows down, the chemistry starts breaking, and the entire group looks disconnected. That's the exact problem both analysts keep circling back to. Stephen A. pushes urgency and full accountability, while Magic leans more toward fundamentals and strong leadership. Different perspectives, same end conclusion. The Lakers still haven't managed to lock in real, lasting stability.
The Lakers' weaknesses, they ain't got bigs. If this was early 2000s and Tim Duncan and Shaquille O'Neal were just walking around, Amari Stoudemire walking around, I would care. If it was late 90s and Charles Barkley, Hakeem, Karl Malone were walking around, it would matter. But the biggest weakness for the Lakers, they do not have bigs, thus they do not have depth at big, but it's irrelevant because that's not the day and age of the NBA currently.
When the Lakers start struggling, nobody treats it like just another rough patch. Listen to this, it instantly snowballs into a massive storyline, and that's exactly why Stephen A. and Magic being on the same page hits so hard. Both of them know exactly how the Los Angeles machine operates. Excuses don't survive long in that environment, and pressure arrives almost immediately. A big chunk of the frustration really comes down to one thing: consistency, or the absence of it. One night, the Lakers look explosive, swinging the ball with rhythm, defending with intensity, and staying locked in during clutch moments. Then the very next game, everything falls apart and feels completely out of sync. The offense slows down, the chemistry starts breaking, and the entire group looks disconnected. That's the exact problem both analysts keep circling back to. Stephen A. pushes urgency and full accountability, while Magic leans more toward fundamentals and strong leadership. Different perspectives, same end conclusion. The Lakers still haven't managed to lock in real, lasting stability.
Yeah, I wish we would have seen how this team would have looked, but now they have some decisions to make. I think they need some bigs, they need some shooting, they need to get younger, they need to get a little more athletic. On the wing, on the perimeter, defensive-wise. So
here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. the Lakers' biggest issue isn't talent, it's alignment. On paper, this roster has more than enough experience, star power, and defensive ability to compete with anyone in the league. The pieces are there, but the chemistry still feels unstable. Alignment is about chemistry, defined roles, and a clear identity, and that's exactly where things start to fall apart. Players don't always seem to know where the flow is coming from. Rotations keep shifting. Offensive priorities change depending on who's hot on any given night. That lack of direction builds confusion, and confusion turns into inconsistency. And it's a cycle that just keeps repeating itself again and again. Stephen A. Smith has continued pushing urgency whenever the Lakers' championship hopes come up. His argument centers on timing, especially with veteran stars and the limited prime years of key players. Every single season carries massive pressure. There's almost no room left for wasted chances. Magic Johnson looks at it from a different perspective. He puts more emphasis on execution and leadership on the court. He's made it clear that the greatest Lakers teams always had a defined identity. Everyone knew their role, and the team understood exactly what it was trying to be. In his view, this current group still hasn't fully reached that point, and that's where expectations collide with reality and frustration starts building. Every preseason, every TV debate, and every fan conversation puts the Lakers in contender talks, but once the season begins, they often land somewhere between real title threat and inconsistent playoff team. That's the uncomfortable middle ground both Stephen A. and Magic keep pointing to. The Lakers just haven't closed that gap fast enough. Questions about coaching and the overall system are also now part of the conversation. Even with adjustments being made, critics argue the team relies too heavily on individual talent instead of a stable structure. When stars carry huge offensive loads, role players become unpredictable and rotations lose rhythm. That's when everything starts to look uneven. Some nights, the Lakers look like one of the most dangerous teams in basketball. Other nights, they look completely disconnected. That swing between elite and disorganized is exactly what separates true contenders from teams that only look good on paper. And that's where things get complicated. Because once expectations and results stay apart for too long, narratives start locking in fast. In Los Angeles, patience runs extremely thin. The media amplifies every rough stretch. Fans analyze every single lineup decision. Analysts stop focusing on bad games and start questioning the entire foundation. Before long, a team once expected to chase a championship starts being seen as a group with deeper issues needing real fixes instead of small tweaks. Magic Johnson being in this conversation adds even more weight to it. He doesn't make comments just for attention. His standards come from decades of understanding what championship basketball truly looks like. He knows elite Lakers teams are built on quick execution, strong leadership, and relentless intensity. When he sees those standards start slipping, he doesn't hesitate to speak on it. And that's exactly what makes his agreement with Stephen A. hit so differently. There's also an emotional layer here that you just can't ignore. The Lakers aren't just another NBA team. They're a global powerhouse with generations of championship history behind them. That legacy brings massive pressure and shapes everything from player expectations to non-stop media attention. And when expectations sit at that level, every single flaw gets amplified. Every loss feels heavier. Every inconsistency gets louder. And every bit of criticism hits harder when it comes to the Lakers. That's the reality this roster is living with, and it puts a spotlight on every weakness. In Los Angeles, small issues don't stay small for long. They quickly turn into major headlines. Another concern both Stephen A. Smith and Magic Johnson indirectly highlight is leadership structure. The Lakers have plenty of star power, but on-court leadership doesn't always feel stable. It shifts depending on who's playing, the matchup, or how the game is unfolding. And when leadership isn't clearly defined, things can get messy in key moments. Late-game execution often breaks down when no one fully controls the flow. Close games become harder to finish. Momentum swings become tougher to stop. In playoff-level basketball, those small cracks can turn into major problems. That's why consistency becomes everything. The reaction from fans to this rare agreement between Stephen A. and Magic has been split. Some see it as confirmation of what they've believed all along, that the Lakers aren't meeting expectations. Others think the criticism is overblown and ignores the normal ups and downs every NBA team goes through. But when a major media voice and a franchise legend are saying similar things, it becomes harder to dismiss those concerns. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. The Lakers aren't just being measured against the rest of the league, they're being measured against their own legendary history, and that changes everything. Most teams can survive rough stretches without panic. The Lakers don't have that luxury because every version of this franchise gets compared to championship eras from the past. That's pressure no stat sheet or analytics model can fully capture. The expectations around this organization are on another level, and that pressure touches everyone involved. Every player feels it, every coach feels it, every decision gets magnified. Individual performances get pulled into that bigger storyline too. When the team struggles, every player gets examined more closely. Stars are expected to carry even more weight. Role players get questioned for consistency. Lineup changes turn into constant debate topics. Under that kind of spotlight, progress is hard to recognize because every game is judged in real time with millions watching. One of the most interesting parts of Stephen A. and Magic finding common ground is that they come from completely different basketball worlds. Stephen A. represents today's media culture, where urgency, accountability, and instant reactions shape every conversation. Magic represents championship tradition, leadership, team identity, and execution under pressure. When those two perspectives line up, it usually means the issue can be viewed from every possible angle. As the season continues, the noise around the Lakers is only going to grow louder. Every winning streak comes with new questions. Every losing streak brings fresh criticism. Every adjustment gets analyzed as people try to decide whether the Lakers are building something real or just repeating cycles of inconsistency. And that's where the biggest question sits. It's not just about whether Stephen A. Smith or Magic Johnson are individually right. It's about whether their shared viewpoint is pointing to a deeper truth about the Lakers' identity right now. Because when two completely different basketball voices land on the same conclusion, the debate stops being just talk and starts looking like a reality the organization may have to confront sooner rather than later. What makes this situation even more intense is that the pressure around the Lakers isn't easing up, it's actually increasing. Expectations in Los Angeles don't pause for anyone. Every game adds another layer to the conversation, and every result reshapes how the team is perceived. That's why the spotlight keeps getting brighter. One issue that keeps coming up is trust. Championship teams usually have a clear level of trust between coaches, stars, and role players. Everyone knows where the shots are coming from, who takes over late, and what the team identity really is. With the Lakers, those answers still seem to shift from week to week. That uncertainty has become a serious concern.
The Western Conference also isn't offering any room for mistakes. Teams have gotten deeper, younger, and more balanced across the board. That means talent alone isn't enough anymore. Experience helps, but chemistry and execution often decide who survives long playoff runs. The margin for error is shrinking, and that makes every weakness stand out even more. Another topic creating buzz is roster construction. There have been moments when the Lakers look dangerous against top teams, showing flashes of the squad people expected, but those stretches haven't always lasted. Injuries, rotations changing, and matchup problems have made it hard to find a steady rhythm. That's why questions continue to follow this team everywhere. What really stands out is how fast the mood shifts around the franchise. One strong week brings excitement and championship talk. A couple of bad games later, doubt spreads just as quickly. That emotional swing has become part of the story, showing how fragile confidence can be at this level of pressure. Former players and league insiders have also hinted at something deeper. Championship teams usually build habits that stay steady no matter the opponent. They defend with discipline, communicate at a high level, and execute when it matters most. The Lakers have shown they're capable of doing all those things, but the real issue has been sustaining that level night after night, and that's exactly where the questions keep coming back. Another layer of pressure is time itself. Veteran stars don't have unlimited seasons left to chase championships. Every year becomes more valuable, and every missed chance starts to feel even heavier. That's why analysts keep stressing urgency so heavily. Nobody is guaranteed another shot, especially in a league that changes as fast as this one. The biggest challenge might not even be talent. It could be whether the Lakers can build an identity strong enough to withstand adversity. Great teams don't fall apart after losses. They rely on habits, structure, and leadership to steady themselves. Those traits are built over time, but they only matter if they show up consistently. That's what separates good teams from true championship contenders, and that's why this conversation around the Lakers refuses to die down. People aren't questioning their talent. Most agree it's there. The real debate is whether all the pieces can actually come together before the pressure becomes too much. Because in Los Angeles, expectations don't wait, and history doesn't lower the bar for anyone. Every season is judged by one thing above everything else, whether the team looks capable of hanging another banner. As the season continues, one thing is becoming impossible to ignore. The questions around the Lakers aren't fading anytime soon. In fact, they might only get louder with each passing game. That's what happens when one of the biggest franchises in sports is stuck between championship expectations and inconsistent results. Nobody is doubting the talent on this roster. The Lakers still have star power, veteran experience, and enough pieces to compete with anyone when it all clicks. The real question is whether they can put it all together consistently when it matters most. Because flashes of greatness are exciting, but championships are built on stability, trust, and execution night after night. That's why the concerns raised by both Stephen A. Smith and Magic Johnson have drawn so much attention. Two basketball voices from completely different worlds are seeing the same problems. One emphasizes urgency and accountability. The other focuses on leadership and identity. Different perspectives, same warning signs. And when respected voices land on the same conclusion, the entire league starts paying attention. Of course, the season isn't over, and there's still time for the Lakers to shift the narrative. Teams have turned things around before. Momentum can swing fast in the NBA, and a few adjustments can completely change the outlook. But the pressure isn't going anywhere. That's just the reality of wearing a Lakers jersey. Now the focus shifts from talk to actual results. Can this team build a clear identity? Can they finally find the consistency that's been missing? Can they prove they're more than just flashes of dominant basketball? Those questions are still unanswered, and the rest of the season will decide whether the critics jumped the gun or saw the truth before everyone else did. One thing is certain though, nobody is stopping the watch on this team. The Lakers always draw attention, and every game will continue to be analyzed under the brightest spotlight in basketball. That's the price of representing one of the most iconic organizations in sports history. Expectations never fade, and neither does the pressure. But what do you think? Are Stephen A. Smith and Magic Johnson right about the Lakers, or is the criticism being overblown? Can this team still become a real championship contender, or are the warning signs too loud to ignore? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is far from over. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other basketball fans so they can join the conversation too. Your support helps the channel grow, and it truly means a lot. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the latest NBA news, breaking stories, and big discussions around the league's biggest teams and stars. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.